The Parallax Effect Podcast is about perspectives. It's about point of view. It's about position relative to placement in society. And here we are blessed to have access to amazing storytellers who are making monumental moves within their respective professions. So the main goal of the show is for you, the viewer, to leave with some sense of comfort that someone has experienced what you've experienced, or you could come across a very new idea that you've never even pondered about before, or even new ways to handle certain situations that happen in life. So please subscribe and join us here at the Parallax Effect Podcast, where we continue to navigate through the shifting tides of perspectives.
One of the reasons I really started working with Mike full time, there used to be a club we call Wall Street. Mm-hmm. And at one point it was on Wilshire Boulevard at this theater. And Mike came and his limo was parked right outside the doors. And this guy was arguing with his girl. And Mike's driver was in the car, and whoever he had at the time for security, I don't even know who it was standing right outside the car, and Mike was sitting in the car. The guy was arguing with his girl, and Mike got out the car and said, "Hey, brother, come on, man, don't live like that." And the dude pulled a gun, right? Mm-hmm. And Mike said, "Oh, man, don't shoot me." His bodyguard, or whoever the guy was, I'm going to tell you how cold this was. He jumped through the window of the front door and through the partition window and was in the back seat of the limousine.
Wow.
And I told Mike, I said, "Yo, man, you better get you some real people because this is going to get you killed."
Started assisting for Sports Illustrated, in about 2001. Started assisting in, really got an opportunity to work with some of the best football photographers ever in this business. Guys like Peter Reed Miller, Vijay Lavaro, Brad Manchin, David Bergman, John Beaver, all these guys that would come into the Bay Area from all over the country, to shoot football. And, started going to 49ers games, Raiders games, just doing anything I could. And back then it was still shooting film. So it was, we would, shoot all this film. We'd have to rush it to SFO and ship it to New York. It was a different time. It was a fun time and learned a lot, so much from all those guys that I worked with in that time frame, more so than I think you could ever get in a classroom. You're working with the best in the business, helping them, watching what lenses they're using, watching what they're shooting, when they're shooting it, things like that.
There were certain events that took place in my life leading up to college that directly impacted college. So when I was heading into high school, my dad was within a week simultaneously diagnosed with Parkinson's and cancer. And that kind of evolved into several years of pretty significant teenage rebellion. I kind of left my faith background, wasn't calling myself a person of faith in God, and just was doing everything that high school kids do that they shouldn't do. Whether it be going to parties and partaking in things that I was way too young to partake in, or things that were illegal, drugs and alcohol and all that stuff. It was pretty significant, but then I really feel like my life kind of transitioned back to, man, I need to figure myself out, because when I was a sophomore in high school, towards the end of my sophomore year, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
At the same time, I kind of had this bug of I wanted to do something else, because it was nice after fellowship to not have anything to do except for work and see patients. But that lasted 6 months. and then I remember my wife and I were starting to travel more, and we actually went to St. Lucia, and had a great trip. But I remember like coming back from that, I was like, man, I've just been enjoying life, but I feel like there's something missing. Like I got to do more. And people that have that bug, like, you probably have it because you have a podcast and you do a bunch of extra stuff too. It's like you just have this bug of like, I got to do more. Like I can't just do this. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like I was going to start a blog. I'd actually been working on a blog, but then I started to see the social media stuff kind of where everybody was starting to shift. And I realized I'm like, you know what? To make these like legit blog posts and to do the research for it and all that kind of stuff, like this is going to take so much time that I don't know if that's how I want to like do it. And I don't really know how well it's going to like, who's going to like see this or whatever. So like, I'm like, whatever, I'm going to start the social media stuff. So I started putting stuff out there. I just kind of told myself, and there was this weird kind of scary moment where I was like, you know, if I start this and I really want to make this good and not just like half-ass it, for lack of a better term, I'm like, this is going to be something that I'm going to have to like commit to like every single day. And I'm going to lose a bunch of sleep, and I'm probably gonna be frustrated for a while, but like, if I really want to do this, I got to stick to it. I like just started creating as much content as I could. Like everything's brand new post every single day. I would stay up like till like 3 a.m, editing videos, learning on the fly. I constantly studying other pages to see what they were doing and how I can put my own twist on it. And it started to take off a bit, but nothing crazy. And a lot of people who have social media know like it's super hard. Like you can put out really good content, and like people still might not see it because it's so saturated now. Like I would like DM people, like just to like make connections. I would comment on bigger creators' posts, and like I was always like on it, like so many hours every day. It was like a full-time job almost. So eventually people started to see my stuff and they liked how it looked, so then it got shared, and then I started to get an influx of followers. And then that kind of webs out. Then there are people that follow them, and then you network with these other bigger accounts, and then more people start to see your account, and then you start to have this huge library, and then people go on your page and they go, wow, this guy puts out a lot of good stuff.
The wonderful thing about being a magician, is that no matter what situation I find myself in, language barrier and culture, it all just kind of goes away, and it's just you and another human being. And then there's this moment that is inexplicable to one or two of those people, and it gives you this paradigm shift, this moment that maybe the world really isn't what we think it is, and I think that is a really fun way to engage with people and to, have a conversation that begins that leads to now us talking like this.
So you're standing on the bank of a river and a baby floats by and the river is drowning. You dive in, save the baby. All of a sudden there's another baby. Then there's 2 babies, 3 babies. And at the same time, you're yelling at people to come help you. And you're jumping in this river, saving these babies that are flowing downstream and pulling them out. And one guy walks up and everybody says, come help us. And he says, no, I'm going upstream. And they're like, what the hell are you doing? He goes, I'm going to go see where they're all falling in and stop them from falling in. Dude, that's one of the best analogies I've ever heard. So we're downstream, right? Waiting to jump in after the baby floating by. We got to go up to the source, dude. So find them where they are. Be where they are at further upstream.
But I remember being in my guidance office in 9th grade. They asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I wanted to be a psychologist because I wanted to help people. And I wholeheartedly remember my psychologist saying, I don't think that's for you. You sure you don't want to go do a trade, do something, work with your hands? And at that point, I was a 2nd-gen college student. Both my parents had already had degrees. It wasn't really a choice whether or not I was going or not, right? Like, because of our history, my parents said very poignant things to me. Like, our ancestors, it was illegal for them to read. So you're going to read. It was illegal for them to go to school. We'll talk about Ruby Bridges being the first person to integrate schooling, right? It was illegal prior to that for her to go to that school. And Ruby Bridges is still alive. Mm-hmm. So you're going to go to school because your people cannot. It was illegal to be able to read and write. You're going to learn to be a good writer. So people don't understand that there are generational curses that some people cannot pull themselves out because they just started. People who have already been running down the track for generations are way down there, where some people are just still at the starting line.
Ball pythons as something.
Well, that's the name that they use. It's widely used now, but the technical name is royal python. That's what they're originally called. So they're indigenous to an area in West Africa, and all the kings from back in the day would, that was the status of the king. The prettiest snake was the status of that king. So
Right.
This was their jewelry, hence the name royal python. All you rappers out there, ditch the chain. Get you a
This
snake.
is the new chain.
Yeah, get you a snake. This guy is a big reason, that people get over their fear. As you can see, this guy he's not shy. He's not, he's not jerky. He's not scared. And I trust this snake with an infant. I know he won't bite. It's almost, and it's hard for people to grasp that at first.
Right.
My family was working class. Dad held down 2 or 3 jobs at a time. My mom worked for Spiegel. My dad worked for United Airlines. At one time, he was working for the steel mill, the post office, and United Airlines. And he finally just let one go. He let the post office go, worked for the steel mill and United for a little while, then left the steel mill and just straight United, did United for like 30-something years. So I come from a family, it's just me, my mom, and my dad. No brothers, no sisters. Closest thing I got to a sister was my cousin Deanna, who's like, I love her like a sister, but just a hardworking family, man, especially my dad. Like, that was my best friend.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about hustle and staying out here and staying on top of your shit from him.
So freshman year of college, I mentioned freshman 15. I am not joking when I say that I gained a grip of weight. And in the city of Orange, there was this gym that I could walk to because it didn't have a car freshman year. I could walk to, it was called Boxing 2000. This hole in the wall gym. It's hot. It smelled like feet. It was so gross and dirty, but that's where everything began. And so some of the coaches, when they had free time and felt like it, they would hold the hand pits for me, and that turned into like, you hit kind of hard. Would you want to spar? The first time sparring was terrible. I was choking on my mouthpiece. The headgear was awful and smell. It was terrible. But we kept with it, and then that turned into, would you want to fight? Said sure. I'm pretty short for my weight, so all the girls I was fighting, I'm 5'3", and so they would their reach was just so much longer, and even if I win, I came out with black eyes and bloody noses and shit. And so they said, we should get you on the ground where height's not as crucial, and we're going to get into MMA. And we had this whole timeline, like, in 6 months you'll be fighting this weight and these girls. And this was when Gina Carano was the it girl of MMA, and everybody wanted to be Gina Carano. I wanted to be Gina Carano. And so I remember thinking, women just don't have as long of a shelf life in fighting as men do, so let's have this plan B. That turns into PT, so now I'm getting all my prereqs, and I had every prereq to take because I didn't take not one lick of science in undergrad because I didn't have to. And so I soon found out that working as a PT tech and doing school when I can at night and on the weekends, that training, like being in the gym 3 hours a day, just wasn't feasible. So there went the whole plan of the rise to MMA stardom.
I was applying for professor positions. I actually got rejected by 32 different schools before I finally got this. And that was over a several year period. And I almost quit entirely. And I think getting to that point was one of the biggest, the act of me getting to the point where I was seriously like this close to quitting is still one of the things that I consider one of my biggest failures, because there really was no reason. There was still a lot there. There's still a lot of potential, but to get and like just be like, forget this, like that is probably one of my bigger failures.
Bye to the bad guy, bye to the bad guy. Too sweet for life to do is mad fly.
So Scribble Jam, for those who don't know, was a very famous rap battle circuit, and I was, from early days freestyling, learning how to rap, and making things funny. I never used profanity in my raps. I was always just a guy who just would try to funny my way out of situations or wit my way out. So I could come up with ways to subtly, humorously disrespect someone and get a crowd on my side. So that got me through a few rounds, and then I flew to Cincinnati for the finals of Scribble Jam, and I lost to a guy named Kid Twist, and Kid Twist was from Canada. Was very good at what he did. Also used wit and humor in really cool ways, but man, he like rained down on me with like fat joke after fat joke, and this was like 2008 or 9, so this is all very funny then, and man, like I just couldn't respond. It was just like, boop, I froze up like Eminem in 8 Mile, and I just couldn't get back, and I found myself kind of out of character, and I was like, oh man, I'm frustrated, I'm yelling, I even like cursed, and I was just like, oh man, this isn't for me, and I lost that battle. But I think that is what turned me kind of towards where I wanted to be, knowing I'm not a battle rapper. I'm a guy I'm a little different, so I just need to find what's different and what I like about myself and make that a bigger part of my character, my persona, my gimmick, if you will. And it was that kind of crushing defeat and having to go home after that what led to me kind of stepping into my fate. After that, I played the Mega Man 9 game. I wrote a song about Splash Woman, and then the rest was kind of history. Then Capcom calls me, and then I'm the first rapper licensed by a video game company, and then all that. So that happened like literally the year after that. So it was just taking that kind of excruciating L and kind of turning it into a W.
My story is an immigrant story. I was not born in the United States. I was born in Guatemala. I have some memories. I came to the United States as a 6-year-old. Like many stories that you hear, mom came out here first. You hear the stories of people, taking the long journey, walking through deserts, crossing the freeway, like doing all that stuff. My mom did all that.
Wow.
So she really was like the trailblazer. She's the one that had the courage to say like, man, I'm not happy in this situation and I need to do something about it. She had that courage to come out to the United States, not knowing anybody, with, very little resources, very little money. I think she knew one person who was really her point of contact here. After being here in the United States, about 5 years or so, she finally, was settled in. She remarried when she came to the United States, married amazing individual, my stepdad. And it wasn't until 1981, so I was born in 1976, when my mom came to the United States. She left me with my grandmother. So my grandmother raised me in Guatemala, along with Latino household, many families, same house, cousins, aunts, uncles, siblings. And it took her a while to get settled in. When she decided that she was gonna, leave Guatemala, come to the United States, I was about 3 months old or so. Fast forward to 1981. She's finally settled in. She's remarried. She had a green card at the time. She married my stepfather. He had legal status here, which allowed her to be able to bring myself and all of my siblings along to the United States. So if you kind of haven't figured out already, she left me as a 3-month-old. I didn't meet her until I was 5 years old. That was the first memory that I have of my mom was just meeting her when she came back to Guatemala to just kind of start arranging everything that needed to happen for us to come to the United States, which finally happened in 1982, which was kind of a funny story. The day we arrived was on Halloween Day, 1982. It was hilarious because, Halloween, for the most part, especially back then, was a truly an American phenomenon. That's not something that, people celebrate in other places. And it was kind of a trip being this little 6-year-old kid and watching watching all these people in costumes running around everywhere. It's like, what's going on here, you know?
Now I'm down up on my knees and I'm crying out to God and I'm begging for him, please. Oh yeah. Cause I'm trying to keep my soul intact.
New York is New York. When I was out there, I was real young, so my childhood was really just being around family. You know what I mean? I was around my family. My mother was my best friend, still is to this day, so that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't really too much running the streets. Like I said, I was still young. So I wasn't being outside too much. It was really just going to church, going to school, being a good boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, so living up there, you hear about LA. You see LA on TV, you see Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, all the, the facades, you know what I'm saying? But it was just the experience that, so being from New York is like, you see that side. That's either people want to go to New York or they want to go to LA. So for me living there and, experiencing that, it was like, I want to see what LA is about. So that's really what it was. It wasn't to come out here with fake dreams and fake hopes, you know what I'm saying? But it was really just to experience what it was. So my first year here was crazy because I moved right at the beginning of COVID.
Oh, wow.
So when I moved, it was like January, you know what I'm saying? The beginning of the year. And I came out here and I was like, oh, COVID. Everybody was saying COVID's not real. It ain't going to be no big thing. And then they shut everything down. So my first year in LA was like, I didn't get to experience nothing. I didn't even experience the traffic. There was no traffic.
Mama told me once that I'm a chosen one. Everybody else walks, but I chose to run. Step off the plane and you land the dream. Jump off the train and you use the steam.
Essentially, I'm from Sri Lanka, and for those that don't know, there was a civil war that started in 1983 when I was in my mom's belly. Basically, she was pregnant with me. And there was basically an ethnic cleansing of the Tamil people. There are two races in Sri Lanka. There's the Sinhalese majority, and there's the Tamils, which are about 10% of the country. In 1983, the government was very cavalier, and they basically allowed the cleansing of us from the city in Colombo of all the Tamil people. And so they burned our house, they burned our car. My mom was literally in the house when they came and they asked where her firstborn child was, and they knew that they had a son, my brother. And she said, I don't have a son, but I'm expecting one right now. And she threw him under the mattress in that same room that they were antagonizing her at. And they flipped open every couch mattress except the one that was right next to them. That's where my brother was hiding.
Wow.
And by God's grace, that they escaped to the back. We ended up going to the north, which is Jaffna, which is a village where my mom's from.
How old was your brother at the time?
Actually, he would have been 90. He would have been about 6.
Wow.
Yeah, he was 6 years old. My uncle, who actually came to America to pursue music, he was like a rock and roll guy in Sri Lanka. He came here. He chased a girl from New York to this place called Pasadena, California, and he landed here. And he called my dad and said, you guys are getting out the country. So we came as refugees and sought asylum here. And that's what started it all.
So I'm looking at this like I'm right there knocking at the door from that goal that I set myself 8 years before. Like I'm so close I can touch it, I can taste it, right? So I stay in this position for about a year. A little over a year, actually. And I'm working my butt off, trying to put a lot of energy and sweat equity into this opportunity, this position. And then one of my bosses, I had a lot of bosses at the time, one of my bosses tells me, okay, now's the opportunity for you to see if we're going to remove that interim tag and to interview for the full-time position.
Right.
And so indeed, I interviewed for that full-time position to become the full-time director, which is, again, what I set the goal out for. And then I found out about a little over a month later that I wouldn't get it and that someone else was going to take over. And it was definitely a gut punch. One of those where it hits you. It kind of knocks the wind out of you type of thing.
Right.
And I remember everybody in my circle at the time, my mother and close family and friends, et cetera, mentors of mine telling me, look, when one door closes, another one opens.
Mm.
And, at the time, we all have loved ones who support us and they care about us. They're going to tell us things where they're going to speak into our lives to encourage us. And it's important and it means something to us. But when you're kind of, when you're kind of down and you're not feeling it, you kind of hear it, you receive it, but you're also kind of like, yeah, sounds good, right? That was kind of my space. Yeah, exactly. And so with that being said, literally, essentially a month to the time in which I found out I wasn't going to become the full-time director, I got a text from who would become my next boss from the Angels saying, would you be interested in applying to the Angels?
Let that drink touch that kid. If I had a bat, I probably would have swung it and hit him. If he poured a drink on my baby or spilled a drink on my kid, it's over. Period. It's over.
Would you guys like to participate in Light Speed?
Absolutely. Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, we got Light Speed here with That's Freaking Wrestling, Matt, Rhodesia, and E, Thug E, Enforcer E,
Oh, Lord.
as he already has told us. As
Ryan,
well too. So the first, I gotta play it up, man. We all gotta live
Look,
the
he's
gimmick,
so
man.
proud of himself over there.
We
Look,
gotta live the gimmick,
He blushing right now.
If we don't live the gimmick, why are we living? First question here on Light Speed: top 5 wrestlers anyone could start of all time.
Roman.
Well, she gave hers. There you go. That's rapid fire. E, you want to go next, or you want me to go?
Shawn Michaels, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Mr. Perfect, Steve Austin. Stone Cold rounding off the top. What we got, Matt?
Give me Flair. Give me Austin. Give me Rock. Give me... I got to put Hogan in there, unfortunately, because, I wouldn't be watching wrestling if it wasn't for Hogan. And then let's have some fun with the 5th one. Let's do,
Cody Rhodes.
Nah, let's do Shawn Michaels.
Number 20, Diogo Jota. And number 11 is Mo Salah.
Stuart hit the first word that he spoke, and normally kids say mom or dad or something like that. I woke up one night in the middle of the night with him jumping up and down in the cot, and he was shouting, Liverpool! They were the first words he ever spoke, so what can you say?
Hey, but there's another part to that story, right? He was covered in his own business, wasn't he? He was. Because he was jumping up and down. That's what my mum told me. He was covered in... covered in shite.
Covered himself in crap, covered the cot in crap, and he was having a good time.
And action. In the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen a huge influx of female created content and messy, flawed female characters, but that was so groundbreaking even recently. 10 years ago, we didn't have that. So I really wanted to play roles that were dynamic and interesting. I'm reading pilot scripts all the time, and the character that's interesting is the guy, and the woman just exists in his orbit, floating around him, ancillary to him, with no goals of her own, with no path of her own. It's all about the dude. And it's I want to play that character. That's way more interesting. So I really wanted to play characters that were dynamic and flawed and complicated and human in a way that I didn't see reflected in the scripts I was getting and the auditions I was having. So I was like, okay, well, if no one's going to give me these roles or write these roles, I'm going to write them myself, right? So that's kind of why I got into writing, just to be able to take that power back and claim ownership and be able to do the roles I wanted to do and play the characters I wanted to play, because I wasn't getting those opportunities in the other things.
What I would recommend is the 5 senses technique. So that is a technique that you look at 5 different things around you. So that's the seeing sense. Then you look for 4 things that you can, or 4 things that you can hear, and then 3 things that you touch, 2 things that you smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And then by that time, you're focusing on reality versus, everything that's, or you're focusing on reality versus and things that you can control versus the things that you can't. Everyone has their own perspective, and that as a therapist, like, I need to do a better job or continue to refine my skills about learning how to walk alongside one of my client or any of my clients or all my clients, and just like learn from them, because they're smart. They know their life.
You've been watching the Parallax Effect Podcast, where every angle reveals a new depth of understanding.
Okay, are we on? Okay. So we're the first ones here. Okay. So I think we're supposed to put these on. Just tell me if you want this to be on here or not. Yes. Okay, ready? Go. Testing. Hello, hello. Hi. Hi, we're the very first ones out of the day, I think. Which is
We think, we're not sure.
We think, we're not sure.
We're pretending like we are, though.
Yeah. As you see, we share everything. I mean, we sat in the same chair. It was pretty hilarious because I barely fit. And Roxy said, "Go ahead. What'd you say?"
Anyway, congratulations, Ryan, and everybody who's helped Ryan, because I know it takes a team. It's a pretty cool party. What are you doing?
I don't know. Just playing with the system. Sorry. Keep going. Keep going.
You know what I wish could be done right now? I wish we could play like the SpongeBob song. How does it go? I don't know.
Wait, how does it go? I don't even remember. Go ahead, sing it for us.
The guitar one.
How does it go? That one? Oh.
The Bikini Bottom song.
The Bikini Bottom. She said stop. She said that's enough. Okay. Oh, look at the camera.
Look at the camera.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, we're looking at it.
Sorry, we're new to this.
We're new. We rarely do this. I don't know if that's obvious, but we want to say.
Anyway, are we going to say congratulations?
Yeah, congrats, Ryan. This is amazing. You're amazing.
Speak in the mic, I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil.
Well, this is take one, by the way. Jasmine said we're probably going to come back a few times and
Take one of the night.
Yes. Take one.
Ryan, you look amazing. I know I said I hate the red boots, but somehow you make them bearable.
I think they look pretty cool. So, yeah. You made them work.
I love you in the boots and all.
Setting trends, you know.
Yeah, this came out amazing. You're amazing. And, yeah.
You guys are going to be getting married soon. How amazing is that? What a crazy year. And an even crazier year to come. I'm so excited for you guys. Oh, I just know God has so many good things for you guys. I'm so excited.
Thank you. And this is just the start right here. Today.
Yes.
Tonight.
Yes.
At the Parallax Effect Podcast event.
Woo!
The very first. Yeah, we'll stop here.
We'll be back.
Okay, I'm here at the Parallax release party. I'm here supporting a young man that I have a lot of respect for. We work together. My name is Carlos Williams. One of the things I hope that this platform that Ryan has, and it looks like it's jumping off. It is jumping off. I'm here at the party. He has support. He has my support. That it would be a platform that can touch people. You know, Ryan is a physical therapist by profession. That's how we met. We worked at Rancho, Los Amigos Rehab Hospital. And he's into healing people. And so here's a platform with God's blessing, because I'm a Christian, with God's blessing, he can help many more people other than through physical therapy. Because, you know, there's mental healing that needs to happen in our nation. And I'll be praying for Ryan. I will support Ryan. I'm very impressed with this young man, you know. I've seen many physical therapists come through the lab that Ryan and I worked at, and he has impressed me. And this part of his life lets me know there's many facets to Ryan. You know, actually, you know, some of you guys might, you know, as you watch the podcast and give feedback, ask Ryan about his magician tricks. He's a magician also. There's many facets to Ryan. And if I had a hat, I'd tip my hat off to this young man. I am very proud of him. And I usually don't come on to media, and Ryan can use this if he wants to. I just wanted to step up and say, hey, here's a young man that got his mind right. All right, out.
Hey, Ryan. It's Charles Whitehead here. Just wanted to tell you, man, hey, you know, do your thing. You know, people that tell you about the subscribers and all of that, hey, you have to start somewhere, because if you start, nobody goes out and starts at the top. You know, do your thing, build your audience, and if you keep consistent and you keep bringing a good message, people will want to be part of it, part of your the Parallax Effect. You know, so don't get discouraged. Keep it up, man. Keep do what you do. You know, you from what I know, you're a brilliant young guy, and I know you're gonna go far. Do it well, do it often, and do it with lots of folks looking and wanting to have your product, man. You know, I'm a musician and a songwriter, and I didn't start off doing it right, but you know what? Over time, I've learned a lot, and my thing is keep it up. Keep it up. I know you got the talent. We've talked about it. It's like magic, man. Do your thing. I'm out.
Parallax. You are now tuned into the Parallax Effect. It's not the message, it's the messenger. What up, Ryan? It's time. Parallax. Oatmeal's better than no meal. Guess who's back to make mountains out of molehills? If this don't move you, I bet my folks will. This beat's smooth, but trust me, there ain't no chill. Ask Ryan, if I'm lying, I'm flying. It's the sculpture of all aspects of the culture. Parallax. The People's Podcast is back, laying it down flat for you wherever you at. Your job, or your car, or your jog, or your flight. Loads of archives with no ending in sight. Hitting on any topic, long as it ain't no nonsense. You can see the others for the drama and the gossip. Word to Brett, best there ever was, recognize it. Never secondary, my eyes stay on the pocket. Parallax. And if you feeling the vibes, give us 5 stars. Oh, and follow and subscribe. Parallax. Sit back and recline, relax and enjoy the ride. Cause it's that Parallax. And you just passed the test. This is the Parallax Effect. Come on, Parallax. Sit back and recline, relax and enjoy the ride. Cause it's that Parallax. And you're here, that's mad respect. Welcome to the Parallax Effect. Yeah.